First of all, thank you for joining me here on this, what I consider to be very important conversation, because the court case that came down, you are on record as saying it's a game changer. That is the way that you see it, and how do you think it's changing the game?
Our court case had come down. I think it's beyond being a game changer. I think we've abandoned the game that was being played, and we're starting something new now. These are issues that need to be resolved. We're 2014 Canada. You come out to not only our First Nation reserve land or any First Nation in British Columbia, and you see the quality of life there. That's not a standard that anybody should live in, and so we need to deal with this issue. What we have in British Columbia today, the remedies to resolve this issue through treaty tables and whatnot is not working. Is not working. Those First Nations, have sat there for 25 years. 25 years. There's an unwillingness to negotiate. I think we don't see meaningful negotiations by Canada, by British Columbia there. So we went, the court case way, and in 339 days in BC Supreme Court to get a decision. 29 elders walked through our court case. 9 of them aren't with us anymore. We think of them every time we think and talk about our court case. They were our soldiers, they were our warriors, and it's been the history and the journey of the Tsilhqot'in people. Right mid 1800s, we declared war on non-native people coming into our territory, wanting to build a road from Victoria, Campbell River, and then they were going to go up Butte Inlet and through our territory, and it ended in 1864, the hanging of our 5 fort chiefs in Quesnel. We celebrate every year. We refer to that as Tsilhqot'in Memorial Day, October 26th. This year marks the 150-year anniversary. So
let's talk just a little bit about what happened there. So they're at war, but then wasn't there almost like a peace offering, or an invitation was sent out to say, let's negotiate?
Well, they spent. That was the unique thing about our court case. It went back to the incidents and what occurred throughout the Tsilhqot'in War. And one of the things that I find really interesting in our court case, there's so many layers to this story. But when the Tsilhqot'in decision came down, they recognized oral history. We felt there's the loophole. That's the final straw we needed. And then we went 29 of our elders talked, and they talked about the history and everything that happened during the Tsilhqot'in War. And after the local residents, road builders were attacked, there was a militia that was sent up into the Tsilhqot'in, and that militia traveled all throughout the Tsilhqot'in territory looking for our warriors, and a couple small skirmishes happened. At the time, during that time, they brought in a famous Indian fighter, Indian killer, Donald McLean, and the Tsilhqot'in people had a dislike for him, so they lowered his bar out, and he lasted one shot in the Tsilhqot'in War. But to conclude, the militia called in some of our members and said they wanted to have peace talks with the Tsilhqot'in to end the fighting and come to terms with the demands of the Tsilhqot'in people, and under a flag of truce, our warriors went in, and some of our members said, no, don't trust them. They're not going to make chiefs out of you guys. There will be no. But Tsilhqot'in head war chief felt they had they had a duty to at least attempt to have a discussion. They were shackled, brought to Quesnel, tried as murderers, and as head war chief of the Tsilhqot'in, his last statement was, "We meant war, not murder." And what happened there to, then an attempt to squash the Tsilhqot'in. I think what they did was give the Tsilhqot'in identity. From that day on, every last Tsilhqot'in was first thing you're taught and raised was that you were betrayed by white government.
So how important was it to you that the Premier has now apologized for that?
We wanted Christy Clark to acknowledge, to meet with us. She met with us. We set some conditions out. One of those conditions where she had to come out to title land, and then she met with all the BC chiefs, and she acknowledged she will be there in Quesnel and exonerate our war chiefs.
How important is that in the healing process so that we can start to move together forward?
I think it's a start, and we have an opportunity, and it's an opportunity that we've waited for a long time. And I think we've had a lot of different leaders, and most recently even Gordon Campbell, and they talk about the strong leadership. Well, we don't see him as having very strong leadership. This is the land that belonged to First Nation people, and acknowledge that, work with that, tell the business community, look, we're here, we're on their lands, include them in every aspect of your development, and let's move forward together. That's the type of leadership we're looking for. And maybe it took this court case, but finally, we have Christy Clark coming to the plate, but Stephen Harper, we can't find him, so we'd like to drag him into the Tsilhqot'in, and we expect the same thing from him.
That was going to be my next question. How important to you is it the Prime Minister also be a part of the healing process?
I think that's huge. Everything stems from the federal government, and Stephen Harper is Prime Minister of Canada. He's the fellow that has to come here. We have the province that's willing to work with us, and province of British Columbia has more First Nations within their province than any other province, and she's willing to go there. Stephen Harper, show some leadership and come to that table. That's long overdue, and we'll continue to fight. We'll continue to do everything in our power to bring attention to this issue. We've done that. Our court case, it started in 2002, 339 days of testimony. For the first time, the Supreme Court of British Columbia went on to reserve land to allow some of our elders to testify in the evenings. So it was very unique, and we got all to improve our situation. Our court case, when that came out, it was challenged. We went to the Supreme Court of Canada. We were told there was a lot of pressure from most First Nations. Most First Nations felt that was too much to ask for. We will not get title. We were told we could never achieve that, but we felt we had to. We had to ask. If we have to use other means, going to the international courts or whatever, we want to be able to say that we used and exhausted every avenue in Canada before we went here. So we had to ask. We did ask, and the Supreme Court judges, you could tell right in that Supreme Court of Canada, 25 years just to have one day of court at the Supreme Court, and to hear the type of questions was very. We left there feeling good.
Were you in the Supreme Court when the decision was handed down?
I was outside the Supreme Court. I think the Tsilhqot'in chiefs all sat inside the Supreme Court, the actual courtroom, and there's room outside of the court. I wouldn't enter into that courtroom as the head war chief, as the head chief of the Tsilhqot'in Nation. I felt we're not part of Canada yet, and I won't enter that courtroom.
So do you feel like you're part of Canada now?
Getting closer. We're not part of Canada yet. We're Tsilhqot'in, and you know we fight to improve the quality of life, but we fight not to separate from Canada. We fight to become acknowledged and to become part of that larger society. We believe in Canada. We First Nations right across this country, and we want to be part of it. And we believe there's one of the best countries around. And
So I find that very interesting because when I read Justice McLaughlin's decision, she talks about the decision as being a step towards reconciliation. And I can't help but like have my own reaction to that, thinking, well, if I were you, I'd be going, no thanks, you've given us title, bye-bye. But you're saying, and like she is, no, actually, this is a way for us to acknowledge our right to be at the table, and then let's figure out how we make this work.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Our powers as First Nation people have all been taken away from us. Before contact, we had our own tribal police forces outside governing our people, and all of those things been stripped from us. And you know, we want the ability to do that. We have some real issues. We got some big issues, and we got a lot of healing and a lot of work to do in our communities. And today's day and age, you need resources. We don't live off of the land as the way we used to. We drive, we carry cell phones and drive vehicles and whatnot. And
You're living in the 21st century.
The 21st century. So we need resources to govern our people and create opportunities for our people, and that's what it's all about. And it's like we're one big family. You want the best opportunity for your family. This is what we're trying to do, and I think we've provided that. But it ain't over yet. It's still we've provided a club for First Nation people, a tool for them to use, but it's still up to them to utilize that however they feel necessary to improve their own circumstances.
So is that a way of saying that yes, you do believe that we're moving towards reconciliation?
We are, I think, but you know, like I say, the decision is fresh. It's just, you know, Chief Roger Williams keeps stating that, you know, he's still celebrating. So, you know, we want to start resolving the issues, and it's a step towards that, and it's one we've waited for a long time, and I'm sure the willingness is there where it's there on our side.
Do you believe that this decision has really motivated the provincial government to now say, okay, we're going to get serious about this, whereas before they may have been dragging their feet?
I think the province has, and Canada has to take this very, very serious. I think this is huge. You know, I tell our members, you know, we can worry about what the province is going to do or what Canada is going to do, but we can't really control that. But what we can control is, as First Nation people, agree to put our differences aside and start working together in a more meaningful way. Our rights as individuals is there, but it's not very strong. As a community, our rights are a little bit stronger. As a nation, it is strong. But when we as nations, First Nation, groups of First Nations work together, it's even stronger. And we've done that. You know, in our fights along the way, we've had some major battles. You know, Tsilhqot'in Mine, their prosperity project at Fish Lake. You know, they were there. I think they played a large part in how this decision came down, and for that I thank them for their arrogance.
There are people who say, well, this decision will create uncertainty. That's not good for business. It's not good for First Nations. It's not good for the province of British Columbia. Do you think that this decision creates uncertainty, or does it move us closer to certainty?
For the old school boys, it creates uncertainty. For the new wave of business out there, I think it does create certainty.
So how do you describe that new wave of business?
I think if you're your industry, you want access to resources in our land, walk through our door. Don't come to us with plans already laid out. Allow us to sit there with you as a company and work out those plans. Find ways that's going to be good for the environment, good for us, good for you guys. We'll look and find ways that's going to be win-win for everyone.
I know that you signed a letter of understanding with the Premier. What is that understanding?
Well, the understanding is that we acknowledge that this court case has happened and that we have to deal with this issue, and that we're committed to work together to try to resolve those issues in an honorable way.
Let's say a company comes to you and goes, okay, well, we want to do this logging project or this mining development or maybe even geothermal or something, and so how do we work this out? As you move forward, there's a whole bunch of labor laws and environmental considerations and all these kinds of things. How do you work with the province?
The province may have, federal government may have guidelines, but we have guidelines.
Right.
And as our guidelines as First Nation people we have very high standard.
How important is this decision in helping your people to be able to move forward from a sociological perspective, education, their own personal development, and have opportunity now that, to be honest, hasn't really been open to them?
We haven't had a lot of opportunity. I don't think we have the type of resource we need to create the type of community we want. We lack in financial resources. I envy municipal governments and others that have more resources to manage their communities. So the quality of life on First Nation Reserve is we have to do full complete study on that and put it in a way that people can understand and compare that to the rest of society. And I think the rest of society would be in shock on what the living conditions would be on First Nation communities.
And your community, like so many others, I'm sure, is still in the healing process of recovering from the residential school program.
I think there's not one First Nation in Canada that isn't healing from that. That's a long journey, and healing doesn't happen overnight. So for non-Aboriginal people, occasionally I will get into discussions with them where they'll say, yeah, but that was then, this is now. From your perspective, how important is it that when people come and talk to you that they understand the history and the devastating effect of the residential school program on communities? It's an asset. The more you know about a potential partner, the better you're going to be. People have to go do their homework, get out, get to know who you're going to work with. You're going to live in the Tsilhqot'in, by all means know what the history of the Tsilhqot'in is. I think we have probably the richest history in all of British Columbia and Canada, for that matter. But it's the big kept secret in Canada, the Tsilhqot'in War. I put it in, for example, it's equivalent to the Louis Riel Rebellion, and yet you mentioned Lots of Sign and nobody knows who you're talking about.
Provincial government, I am quite certain, is looking at this decision saying, okay, now there's going to be a different revenue sharing model. I think that they're probably more concerned than anybody. How do you work with them and move forward?
Well, we'll continue to do what we do, and it's up to them to decide how they're going to move forward. I think the revenue sharing agreements, I had a opportunity to talk to some cabinet ministers and said, we've pushed this. To be quite frankly, I don't agree with any of your funding formulas. I think that's a slap in the face. They won't improve the quality of life for our members as a whole in our community. We take a look at that. How are we going to improve our community and our quality of life, and how much resources that going to cost on a yearly basis? We figure that out, then we'll figure out how much of that pie we're going to take from resource extraction in our territories. The formulas you guys have right now, it's not even close. 1 week before the Mount Polly disaster, the Williams Lake Indian Band chief was in the media pointing out that she received a $4,500 check for as part of her economic sharing agreement with the province, and they were anticipating 400,000.
So number one, you have to resolve issues with the provincial and the federal government
Absolutely.
before you're willing to start to entertain.
Well, companies, some industry, logging, for example, we have West Fraser and Tsilhqot'in and Williams Lake, and they have full access in the Tsilhqot'in. They come through our doors. They, every part of their planning, they work with us. They have revenue sharing agreements with us as industry. So
Those
they
stay
have
in place.
and that's still in place. It's business as usual for them.
But for,
Tsilhqot'in Mine, on the other hand, doesn't believe they should have anything to do with First Nation, that they're a burden. Well, where's Tsilhqot'in Mine? No. Screaming about, another legal challenge. It don't matter. We've seen their legal argument. We'll beat them up in court one more time before it's all over with them.
so you're saying there's a model that can be followed.
There's a model that could be followed, and it's happening. It's happening right now. It exists.
And you're looking to do more.
We're looking to do more of, anything related to resource extraction. Before contact, we lived on that off of those resources. We were 100% independent. We want to get to that place again, and we still have those resources out there. And if we're going to move forward, and if that's the extraction of those resources going to happen, it has to, and it has to benefit us. We're, in our opinion, and we've always looked at ourselves as a layer of government, and it's a layer of government industry is going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to
Chana
share
Leo.
this with us. Yeah.
Chana Leo, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.